Have any of you actually been next to a big fire? I mean like a big one, not a big old bonfire, not so big that's above your head. I mean a wildfire. Hey, theme, right? Wildfire, fire, everything. Have you ever been next to a wildfire? It's scary. A few years back, I was a crazy little kid, had my cool truck, and I said I want to go off-roading. Hey, Vuova, my best friend, let's go off-roading, right? This was before we knew there was a firefighter. When we started driving down there, driving to Mount Rainier National Forest, along the way it starts getting smokier and smokier, and we're thinking, there must be something going on. But let's keep going and see what it is. So we kept on going forward, and we just started seeing everything be smoked up. Barely could see, I think, like 30 to 40 feet ahead of us. Barely anything. Usually we see all the nature and how beautiful it is. We can't see anything. Everything is covered up with smoke. By the time we get, I think, 1 or 2 miles after that point, we see on the left side that there is a fire truck. And we're like, oh, what are they doing here? Oh, there's the firemen. They got their hose. They're hosing down the edge. Oh, there's the fire right there. There's a fire over there too. There's a fire over there too. Well, we just drove completely right past it. The fire has been on for the last 2 or 3 miles. The issue is that the fire is down on the ground and that the smoke is covering up the rest, covering up the big old flames. But when you really take a look, you can see that it's everywhere. At that point, we say, I guess ahead it must be a lot worse. Let's turn around. When we turn around, we're thinking to ourselves, man, when we go camping, we try to make a big fire. That fire is controlled, right? No matter how big you do it, it's controlled to the point it becomes uncontrolled. But a wildfire in the forest is so uncontrolled that it has authority over the forest. Complete and utter dominance of the forest. Nothing it can do. The winds can make it go over even rivers. But it's there. It's the strongest thing in the forest. The top of the food chain. That's a lot of strength. In this world, there's a bunch of other things that we can do to exhibit strength. We can see natural phenomena. We can see wildfires, hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis. I remember actually the tsunami that happened back in Hawaii a while back. My teacher was actually there. He made it out alive, thank goodness. But when he came back, he told us how strong the waters were over there. How he was terrified of how the power of water, when usually he would swim in it. Then even outside of this earth, there's things that are much more powerful than that. There are stars, namely the sun. There's neutron stars, big old dense things, and when neutron stars collapse, they turn to black holes that eat everything in their way. All of it is immense power, and all this power is controlled by a one God that gave us his only begotten Son so that we may be saved. Our God is sovereign over all things. No matter how small they are, down to the atom, no matter how big they are, up to the stars in the sky. What should we do with a sovereign God, a God that has authority over all things? FYI, I mean over us as well. Whether we like it or not, he has authority over us. Should we submit to God, or should we rebel against God? Hey, Arden, give me water. Should we submit to God, or should we rebel against God? That is the title of today's sermon. Submit to God. Well, when you submit to God, you say, God, I believe that you sent your one begotten Son. I believe that you control all things. I believe that Jesus Christ rose in 3 days. He ascended. I believe in the old prophets of the Old Testament. I believe in Moses. I believe in Abraham. I believe in all these things. I believe in your word, the Bible. Well, God specifically tells us to submit to other things as well, not just him. So, by submitting to these other things, we are also submitting to our God. So, we're going to be going over a few of these things that we're going to be submitting to. The first of which is going to be Mama and Tato, our parents, our mothers and fathers, if we are lucky enough to have them. Second is our bosses and teachers at work and school. And finally, we're going to talk about the government. That's going to be a a difficult topic for many of us, including myself, to comprehend. First, I want to start with our mothers and fathers. Now, I have, how old am I now? I'm 24 years old, so I have 24 years of experience with a mom and dad. I have 24 years of experience with dealing with them, listening to them, disobeying them as well, just FYI. When I was a little kid, I thought I was smart. I always listened to my parents and said, no, I know better, I'm going to do it my way. When I became a teenager, many people rebel in their teenage years, as did I. I said, Mama and Tato, I understand what you're saying, but I think I could gauge my future better. I think I could plan out my next 5 years a little better. I think I could, take care of myself. I'm a big, strong man. I know what's better for myself, and you know what's better for yourself. I love you, Mama and Tato, but I don't want to listen to you. That's how many times it is. When I was 18, as many of you know, I had a spinal tumor. That ruined my 5-year plan. I had to go to Harborview, get my spinal tumor extracted, had to do physical therapy for about 2 years. And during that time, who was taking care of me the whole time? My parents. It was back like I was a baby. Completely so. I'm better now, but I have my parents to thank for that. They loved me. They cared for me. They gave me wisdom. They truly invested into me. Now, what does the Bible say specifically about parents? Right? Have you ever dealt with your parents to the point where you make your mom cry and you make your dad cry, and then they pull you aside and they say, this is why you made me cry, and then you start crying too? Everybody starts crying, and you just feel such immense guilt. Sometimes guilt is an important thing. Sometimes guilt is a very important thing to lead us to better ourselves. Now, what I want to say is, obey your parents, right? Listen to your parents and trust your parents. Trust that they want the best for you. I know it can be annoying, especially when you're younger, especially when you're in middle school, high school, and you have your own type of life and you think they have no idea what you're talking about. You still should consider what they're saying, because they've lived a long more time than you. They experienced way more things than you, and you should really listen to what they're saying. So I don't want you to take my word for it. Instead, I want you to take biblical scripture and understand how important to God it is that you obey and respect your parents. So this is Ephesians chapter 6, verses 1 through 3. What's really important is that this is in the New Testament, and it's quoting the Old Testament. It's actually quoting the 6th commandment. I know many of us know what some of the commandments are, but we can't, list them off. Well, here it is. First, Ephesians 6, verse 1 through 3. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment, with a promise, so that it may go well with you, so that you may enjoy long life on this earth. That's really, really simple. And that's a prophetic commandment. A prophetic commandment means that it's telling you about your future. It isn't just saying, hey, this is what you should do. It's saying, you do this, and then this is what's going to happen. When we talk about prophecy, the Bible says a direct prophecy to every single one of us. So when you are a teenager and you're looking to achieve autonomy, my tongue don't work. Autonomy. You will end up rebelling against your parents, against their wishes, against their decisions, their directions for your life. But know that they truly wish the best for you. They have previous wisdom that they wish to impart with you. Here's another section where it talks about specifically what type of wisdom they have. That relates to our teenage years with our friends, with the people that we really surround ourselves with. Whether they be good or bad, we'll see. Proverbs chapter 1, starting at verse 8, ending at 19. My child, listen when your father corrects you. Don't neglect your mother's instruction. What you learn from them will crown you with grace and be a chain of honor around your neck. My child, if sinners entice you, turn your back on them. They may say, come and join us. Let's hide and kill someone just for fun. Let's ambush the innocent. Let's swallow them alive like a grave. Let's swallow them whole like those who go down to the pit of death. Think of those great things we'll get. We'll fill our houses with all the stuff that we'll take. Come, throw in your lot with us. We'll all share the loot. My child, don't go along with them. Stay far away from their paths. They rush to commit evil deeds. They hurry to commit murder. If a bird sees a trap being set, it knows to stay away. But these people set an ambush for themselves, that they are trying to get themselves killed. Such is the fate of all who are greedy for money. It robs them from life. Is that not how all of our parents talk to us? Especially within our community, our parents say, hey, listen, I know you're talking with those folks over there. Just don't. It's going to lead you somewhere you don't want to be. But most of the time you say, no, I'm good. It doesn't matter. I could take care of myself, and I know what's best for me, so I'm going to hang out with who I want, when I want, how I want, and do what I want. That's the truth, right? That is absolutely the truth of how we deal with our parents. The Bible is saying our parents have wisdom, and they warn us of what things can happen. How to keep us safe, how to keep us smart, how to keep us safe and good. I want you to think about something very special about obeying our parents. When I was saying they love us, they care for us, they want the best for us, they impart wisdom into us, it sounds a little bit like God, right? Same thing that God wants for us. If you think about it, the way our parents see us and treat us and love us is a mirror image of what God does for us as well. It's actually so important that he made it into the 10 Commandments that he gave Moses. He didn't put every single little thing into the 10 Commandments. He didn't put the order of a church. He didn't put what a deacon is or what days. Actually, he did honor the Sabbath. But he didn't make so much of his later on commandments in the 10 Commandments. But he included honor thy parents in the 10 Commandments. It's literally so that we can honor him by honoring our parents, because it's a mirror image. Well, there we go, and I could prove it to you. Matthew 22, 34 to 40. But when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees with his supply, they met together. They met together with, where is it? One of them, an expert in religious law, tried to trap him with his question, "Teacher, what is the most important commandment in the law of Moses?" Jesus replied, "You must love the Lord God all of your heart and all of your soul and all of your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. A second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. The entire law and all the demands of the prophets are based on these two." So if you look at the verse, if you look at the 6th commandment, honor thy father and thy mother, which of these two do you think it's actually resembling? It's resembling you must love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind. So, submitting to your parents is an incredibly important thing that God looks at, that you do. So remember, submitting to your parents is the same thing as submitting to God. Now let's go on to the next topic. Christians at work and at school. Here on this earth, specifically here in America where we live, I know we have some first-generation Americans here and some people who immigrated, but generally it goes the same way. Everybody goes to school, they have classes, whether it's private or public, not homeschool though. Homeschool's a little different. But generally you have classes with a bunch of other kids, and you have a teacher leading the classroom and telling everybody what to do, teaching everybody basically. Then later on in life, you also get a job. During the job, you work with some coworkers, you have a boss, And you go hang out with your coworkers, you talk with them, you spend a lot of time with them, 8 to 12 hours a day if you're really working. And then you have a boss that everybody likes to clown on. Both the teacher and the boss have a similarity. They both are authoritative figures that are looked at with malice, with hatred, and making them look like clowns. So, teachers get made fun of by the children, and then children don't like to listen to teachers either. When bosses are there, bosses are working, and they have their employees, and the employees say, I don't want to work that hard. What's the point? My job isn't that important, and I'll make the boss come over and tell me what to do. I'll make him waste his time, and I'll make sure the boss isn't going to have a fun time. And then I'm going to go with my coworkers and laugh at him. Laugh at him and try to undermine him in every way that I can. But, again, we are Christians. As Christians, what do we do in these type of circumstances? Remember, you got to be the light in the darkness. Just because it's cool to go with the crowd, it doesn't mean that you should. I'm going to take it one step further. Not just be nice to your boss and your teacher, but instead, give it 100% of your effort whenever you're working. 100%. Give it 100% respect. Give it your all. That also is annoying. That's something that nobody likes to do. It's a lot of work. But that's what I'm telling you to do. Why? Because Ephesians chapter 6, verse 5 to 8. Slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and with respect and fear, and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey Christ. Obey them, not only to win their favor, when their eye is on you, but as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from your heart. Serve wholeheartedly, as if you were serving the Lord, not people, because you know that the Lord will reward each one for whatever good they do, whether they are slave or free. In the modern Western world, there is no longer the term slavery. We don't have that around here. We have it in the Middle East. We have it in some places we still have slavery, but not where we're around. Instead, we have the voluntary employment type of job. We have school, where you really actually do got to go if you're under 18, but everything's voluntary. So if God is saying that back when you were a slave, you had to respect your master, work for your master at 100% of your capacity, and treat your master as if you were treating Christ, serve him as you're serving the Lord. Oh, that's too much. But that's what God calls us to do. God calls us to submit to our masters. Let's take it a little further. Serving our masters and submitting to them and listening to them and respecting them as if we're serving the Lord is actually a huge testimony in itself. When we have employees that like to make fun of our bosses and you say, nah, I'm good. That's my boss. I listen to my boss. I do my job. People think, what's wrong with you, man? Come on, just lay back and have some fun. Talk with us about whatever we're talking about. Slack off just like us. Nah, I'm good. They see you coming to work with a smile, all joyful. And you see everyone else come into work with dread on their face, thinking, oh, I got a whole entire 8 hours of this, or 12 hours. But you're there smiling. You're saying, look at this opportunity I got. I get to serve. I get to work. I get to make some money. I get to spend my time. And then God is seeing me serve, and it's as if I'm serving God himself. And you have this joy in your heart knowing that your effort, God does not unnotice. God sees everything. God is sovereign. God has authority over all, including you. He sees what you're doing. He sees into your heart. that you're rejoicing in the opportunity to work and serve your Lord Jesus Christ. Then someone may come and see you and see that you're a little bit different than the rest. I understand it's a little weird, but people do that, and they say, hey, I don't get it, man. We're over here talking bad about the boss, having a good old time. We're just taking our 45-minute breaks on our 15, take 12 smoke breaks every hour. We be having a good time. Why aren't you? Why are you working so hard? You're making it bad for the rest of us because you're working so hard and they think we're going to work like you. All you got to say is you have joy in your heart knowing that you're serving your Lord. And you know, a lot of people say, what are you talking about? You okay? You on drugs? No, I'm just joyful because I'm serving my Lord. They say, tell me about it. Now you have an opportunity to tell people about the gospel. Tell them about why you're so happy. Tell them why you're being saved. I want you to realize that the message of listening to your authoritative figures is not a message that I just say. Because the truth is, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not the best with respecting my bosses, not the best with being a perfect employee, but I strive for it. I'm saying that you should too. Respect your authority. Respect them as if you're serving your God. Let's talk about a little bit harder thing to submit to. We talked about submitting to our mommies and daddies, submitting to our bosses and our teachers. This is the hardest one of all, the government. Now, this is a very sensitive topic, specifically within Christian circles. There is the aggressive side that says, you know what, we can do whatever we want. We are God's children, and government has no authority over us. There's the other side that says, I'm going to listen to whatever the government says, no matter what it is. I don't care. I just want to listen to them because they know better than me. Well, let's delve a little deeper into it. About 50% of the government, 50% of the population every 4 years hates the government and loves the government. That's how it works here in America. In different places it works differently, but let's talk about just America here. How hard is it to submit yourself to somebody that you hate? I am a red-blooded American. I was born here. I'm a first-generation American. My parents came from Ukraine. I was growing up with a few of the Ukrainian values, but in essence, I am a red-blooded American. I believe in all of the amendments of the Bill of Rights and the further amendments as well. I believe in the freedom of speech, the freedom of assembly, freedom to press, freedom of religion, freedom to bear arms, freedom from search and seizures unreasonably. I believe in all of these rights. My favorite, obviously, is the freedom to practice your religion, which we are currently practicing. And it's actually very lucky that we're able to, because a lot of places in the world don't have that opportunity to practice our own religion. Other Christians in the world got to practice it just at home. They can't assemble with the saints. But, if they're with their parents, they could, have church with them, I guess. Because where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am also there with them. But let's take it back a little bit. I'm a red-blooded American. A lot of people are like that. 50% of the country doesn't like the president, nor the political parties that are in power. And it's very difficult to submit to somebody that you really don't like. The foundation of America started with rebellion. Instead of saying the American Rebellion, people say the American Revolution. This was the most popular slogan from the era was no taxation without representation. They were British colonies, and they said, we're sick of it, we're going to start our own country up. So they rebelled against the British, but the British saw them as traitors, and they saw themselves as liberators. Americans saw them as liberators, and then British saw the Americans as traitors. When you look at how you label yourself, As an American, as a Brit, as a Ukrainian, as a Russian, all these are nations of the earth, of the world. I'm here to tell you that you are not any of them. Maybe your body is. Maybe your body is a resident of whatever country it was born in. But your soul belongs to Christ. Your soul belongs to Christ. No matter how much anyone on this world can say you are from whatever nation they perceive you to be from, you know that you're not of this world. You are in the world, but you are not of it. You know, when you die, you're going to go to see Christ, to see him on the right-hand side of God, and forever show glory to him. Forever glorify him. So, let's read about what we should do with the government, whether we should submit to them or not. This is Romans 13, verse 1 to verse 1 to 7. Everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. So anyone who rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. For the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right, but those who are doing wrong. Would you like to live without fear of the authorities? Do what is right, and they will honor you. The authorities are God's servants sent for your good. But if you are doing wrong, of course you should be afraid, for they have the power to punish you. They are God's servants sent for the very purpose of punishing those who do what is wrong. So you must submit to them, not only to avoid punishment, but also to keep a clear conscience. Pay your taxes too for the same reasons, for the government workers need to be paid. They are serving God in what they do. Give to everyone what you owe them. Pay your taxes and government fees to those who collect them, and give respect and honor to those who are in authority. We as Christians must submit ourselves to the government, whether we agree with them or not. No matter what side of the aisle you're on politically, no matter where you stand on any topics, whether you disagree or agree with any government policies, you must submit to them. Because in the end, you are not of this world. You are belonging to Christ. So let's get into some of the topics, the really cool topics that people talk about when saying whether you should submit to your government or not. Taxation is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful topic. As we previously read at the end of Romans 13, it said, pay your taxes. Government workers need the money so that they can live. Then again, they are serving God. Well, it's a little bit of a fishy type of subject. A lot of people like to say, you know what, I don't agree with the funds where they're going from the government. They're going to corrupt causes. I don't appreciate that. And I understand that wholeheartedly. There's people that say, you know what, I'll give the government whatever they know about, whatever funds they know about. I know that's a very, very opportunistic type of thing, especially if you're self-employed. That's a very, very common type of thing. I'll give the government what they know about, and everything else is mine, tax-free. But that's wrong. That's wrong. First of all, it's lying. It's lying because you declare your funds, you declare whatever you made, your income, in a year at the end. You always have to declare, so you're lying if you don't. And then you're actually just not submitting to God. I'm not saying even you're submitting to the government. I'm saying you're not even submitting to God, because we just read that. Oh, Jesus didn't say that? Jesus did. He said it himself. It was a high point in his career, if you will. Matthew 22, verse 15 to 22. Then the Pharisees met together to plot how to trap Jesus into saying something for which he could be arrested. They sent some of their disciples along with the supporters of Herod to meet with him. "Teacher," they say, "we know how honest you are. You teach the way of God truthfully. You are impartial and don't play favorites. Now tell us what you think about this. Is it right to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" But Jesus knew of their evil motives. "You hypocrites," he said. "Why are you trying to trap me? Here, show me the coin that is used for the tax." When they handed him a Roman coin, he asked, "Whose picture and title are stamped on it?" "Caesar's," they replied. "Well then," he said, "give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God." His reply amazed them, and they went away. Many of the times, our government supports things that we don't agree with. Abortion, teaching homosexuality to little kids, modern day political science, if you will, depending on what side of the spectrum you're on. But there are a lot of things that our government does with funding. Do you remember the Vietnam War? A lot of people say that was an unjust war, a war that shouldn't have never happened. The government funded it, CIA was there, they did it all. When CIA was exposed, they uncovered a lot of dirty things the government did, and they did it with the taxpayers' money. So the government does things that we don't like, but God still says that we should submit to them. And you know what? I'm telling you this right now. Our government, most likely, wasn't as bad as the government of Jesus' times. This was the time of Roman Empire. This was the time of literal slavery. And Jesus still said, "Give to Caesar's what is Caesar's." Romans 13 still says, "Serve your government, submit to your government." Submission is a huge, huge thing that God sees and checks for in a Christian's heart. Let's go on to another topic. Masks. Oh, I hate masks. I can say this truthfully and honestly. I cannot stand having to wear a mask. I can't. But the law says, hey, you're in a public place, wear a mask, man. I'm going to the store, I'm wearing a mask. I hate it. Hate it with all my heart. I don't believe in the medical practice of precautionarily wearing a mask because my teaching was different. My teaching on the topic was different. You shouldn't pre-isolate yourself. You shouldn't pre-do anything. You only should do it if the actual cause is there. Somebody has a flu, then you should do it. So even with my preconceived notions about me not liking masks, I still have to do it. I know that many other people are just like that. That is serving your government. That, in turn, is serving God. That's how God sees it. God doesn't see it as you just putting on a mask, having fun. No, God sees it as you serving your government, serving Him. Another topic that is incredibly debated is mandatory government vaccines. That's a big one. A lot of people say, it's my body, my right. I shouldn't get vaccinated if I don't want to. And the other side says, we need herd immunity. Everybody needs to get vaccinated. It's only for your own good. So I'm going to ask you the question again. God told you to serve your government. What are you going to do? Submit. It's a hard thing to think about for many, many other people. It is definitely a very hard thing. But here is something that you shouldn't submit to the government. Here is something that you should never submit to the government. Where their authority does not lie. Government cannot tread on church's authority, on the body of Christ. You guys know the story about in California, government tried to make it so that they couldn't worship in church anymore, couldn't sing. Well, if you're saying singing transmits droplets, gonna make you sick, I understand that. But the other way of looking at it is, what does God say about the topic? So God does say specifically about how churches should operate. He actually likes order. So this is a circumstance where you submit to God or you submit to your government. It's not an and type of thing. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 26. Well, my brothers and sisters, let's summarize. When you meet together, one will sing, another will preach, another will tell some special revelation God has given. One will speak in tongues, and another will interpret what is said. But everything that is done must strengthen all of you. Do you see it said sing? So, again, you choose which one do you want to submit yourself to. The whole theme that we're having is, who do you want to submit yourself to? When Jesus submitted to the government, he didn't just submit to how atrocious the government's acts were. He didn't just submit to taxes. He submitted to his own death. Jesus came and gave us salvation, but through that he had to die. And because Jesus was God, he knew the future. He knew that the Jews would persecute him through the Romans, that he would be crucified. He'd be beaten beforehand. He'd be tortured beforehand, and he'd be crucified. And he still submitted to the government. How good is our lives compared to the times of the Romans? I'm going to say amazing. But submission is important. Whether it is to your parents, whether it is to your teachers, to your bosses, to the government, all who hold authority are from God. It's placed from God. And you never, ever, ever want to fight against God, because I'm telling you what, God will always win in the end. No matter what. Jesus submitted himself to God. Should we not do the same thing? Should we not forsake ourselves and the ways of this world and take upon the cross just as Jesus has? I tell you that's what we should be doing. I tell you that's exactly what we should be doing. No matter how bad our situations are, we are Christians. We are saved, and we have a duty. We have a duty to bring along as many people as possible with us up to heaven. You have to use every opportunity to preach Christ. You have to use every opportunity to show that we are a Christian. We must submit to our authorities, whether we like it or not. And I'm telling you, I don't like it, because I am a man. I am a human. But I reject myself, and I say, my God, I accept your ways rather than my ways, because my ways are imperfect. My ways are wrong, and your ways are correct. So in conclusion, submit to your parents, love your parents. They love you, and love them back. Submit to your authoritative figures, your bosses, your teachers. Respect them. They're there to help you. They're there to take care of you. And by submitting to them, you're submitting to God. And lastly, submit to your government. Because I'm telling you, Christian, right now, that you are not of this world. You have another place to go. And when you go, it's going to be such splendor that nothing from this world can compare.